The Galactic Empire had conquered 1,700 worlds, each one falling to their knees within minutes of first contact. Some species wept. Others begged. A few tried to fight, which was adorable in that pathetic, futile way that made Admiral Vex Tharian chuckle into his ceremonial breathing apparatus. So when the Empire's flagship, the inevitable Dominion, dropped out of hyperspace above the third planet of an unremarkable yellow star, Vex Tharian expected the usual script: panicked broadcasts, emergency sessions of whatever primitive government these humans had cobbled together, and maybe a few desperate attempts at surrender before he'd even finished his opening speech. Instead, he got a video call. Admiral Vex Tharian, I presume. The human on the screen wore a cheap suit and had the kind of smile that immediately made you check your wallet. Jake Martinez, Earth's ambassador for First Contact and previously owned Starship Sales. How can I help you today? Vex Tharian's 3 eyes blinked in sequence. In 1,700 conquests, no one had ever asked how they could help him. Primitive being, I am Admiral Vex Tharian of the Galactic Empire, Supreme Commander of the… Right. The Empire thing. Got your marketing materials already. Very impressive stuff. Love the whole dark and brooding aesthetic you've got going. Very intimidating. Now, what can Earth do for you today? Marketing materials? Vex Tharian looked at his aide, Captain Zek Morrell, who shrugged all 4 of his shoulders. I am here to accept your planet's surrender. Jake's smile never wavered. Oh, that's nice. But you see, we're not really in the surrendering business. We're more of a stubborn independence kind of operation. But hey, thanks for thinking of us. You misunderstand, human. This is not a request. The Galactic Empire demands your immediate and unconditional surrender, tribute payments of 70% of your planetary gross domestic product, and the relocation of your population to mining facilities in the Outer Rim. Jake nodded thoughtfully, as if Vex Tharian had just offered him an extended warranty. Wow, that's quite a package you're offering there. Tell you what, let me run this by the committee and we'll get back to you. Should be about 6 to 8 weeks for a full review. 6 to 8 weeks? It could be longer. You know how committees are. Is there a number where we can reach you? Vex Tharian felt something he'd never experienced in 1,700 conquests: confusion. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not wait for committees. Oh, I totally get that. Big organization, lots of moving parts. But see, that's just not how we do things here on Earth. Everything goes through proper channels. Can't just make decisions willy-nilly, you know? And what if we set up a follow-up meeting? Say, next month? Next month? I know. Seems like forever. But that's bureaucracy for you. Actually, you know what? Let me transfer you to our Department of Alien Relations. They handle all the Cosmic Empire stuff. Can I? Mouthful. Please hold. The screen filled with elevator music and a rotating image of Earth with the text, Your call is important to us. Please remain on the line for the next available representative. Admiral Vex Tharian, Supreme Commander of the Galactic Empire's Eastern Quadrant, destroyer of worlds and subjugator of species, found himself listening to a jazz rendition of Girl from Ipanema while staring at a slowly spinning planet. Captain Zek Morrell cleared his throat. Sir, this is highly irregular. Indeed, Vex Tharian muttered, watching the hold timer tick past 3 minutes. Right, most irregular. General Rita Tank Thompson had earned her nickname by driving an actual tank through a terrorist compound in Syria, then later through the front wall of a Pentagon meeting she was late for. When Earth's governments needed someone to handle military coordination for first contact, Tank was the obvious choice. She was also, according to Admiral Vex Tharian's intelligence reports, completely insane. Gentlemen, Tank announced to the assembled Imperial War Council via hologram, welcome to Earth's defense briefing. I trust you've all had a chance to review our preliminary surrender documents. Vex Tharian leaned forward. Finally, some sense. Yes, we. Great. You'll notice on page 47, subsection 12 alpha, that we've identified some concerns with your occupation timeline. Captain Zek Morrell fumbled through a stack of papers that had somehow materialized on the conference table. Page 47? How many pages are there? Oh, just 432. Standard stuff, really. Now, regarding your demand for immediate surrender, we're going to need you to define immediate. Are we talking standard Earth time, galactic standard time, or are you guys on some kind of cosmic daylight savings situation? Vex Therian felt a headache forming behind his middle eye. Immediate means now. Right, but now when? Now as in this exact moment, or now as in sometime during this general time frame? Because our lawyers are telling us that immediate without proper temporal qualification could be interpreted as anywhere from this nanosecond to the next geological epoch. The next? What? Tank consulted her tablet. Geological epoch, about 2.5 million years, give or take. Look, we want to comply with your demands, but we need clear parameters. Can't have any misunderstandings, right? While Vex Therian tried to process this, Tank continued. Also, regarding your tribute demands, we'll need to establish a payment schedule. Now, 70% of GDP sounds reasonable, but are we talking gross or net? Pre-tax or post-tax? And what's your preferred currency? We've got dollars, euros, yen, Bitcoin, Chuck E. Cheese tokens. We don't want your primitive currency, Vex Therian snapped. We want resources, raw materials. Energy. See, now we're getting somewhere. Raw materials, I can work with. But we're going to need specifications. What grade of steel? What purity of aluminum? Are you looking for organic or synthetic compounds, free-range or factory-farmed uranium? Free-range uranium? It's a thing. Costs extra, but it's worth it for the flavor. Captain Zek Morrell whispered urgently to his admiral. Sir, I don't think uranium has flavor. I don't think humans are supposed to be this difficult. Vex Therian whispered back. Tank was still going. Now, about those mining colonies you mentioned. We'll need complete environmental impact studies, worker safety protocols, and full compliance with 17 different interplanetary labor agreements. You guys are signatories to the Galactic Workers' Rights Convention, right? The what? Oh boy. Okay, that's going to be a problem. We can't relocate our population to facilities that don't meet basic safety standards. Union rules. But don't worry, we can probably fast-track your certification process. It should only take about 18 months. Vex Therian stood up so fast his ceremonial cape got caught in his chair. This is ridiculous. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not file paperwork. Tank looked genuinely surprised. How do you guys get anything done? We conquer. We subjugate. We inspire fear. Right. But how do you process the conquered territories? Someone's got to handle the administrative transition, set up new government structures, establish supply chains, manage cultural integration. Tank shook her head. Guys, I hate to tell you this, but you're running a pretty sloppy operation here. Admiral Vex Therian, who had personally overseen the subjugation of 1,700 worlds, felt his left eye begin to twitch. Dr. Beverly Quirk had 3 PhDs, 2 nervous breakdowns, and 1 unshakable belief that every problem in the universe could be solved through rigorous application of academic methodology. When the Galactic Empire demanded a formal negotiation session, Earth's leaders knew exactly who to send. Gentlemen, Dr. Quirk began, settling into her chair across from the Imperial delegation. Thank you for agreeing to this preliminary discussion regarding the potential framework for possible future considerations of your initial proposal. Vex Therian's translator implant started smoking. What did she just say? I believe, Captain Zek Morrell said slowly. She thanked us for agreeing to talk about maybe talking about talking. Precisely, Dr. Quirk beamed. Now, before we can address your core demands, we need to establish some basic parameters. First, when you say surrender, could you define that term within the context of interplanetary relations as governed by the Cosmic Accords of 2387? The what of what now? Dr. Quirk looked concerned. Oh dear, you're not familiar with the Cosmic Accords. They're the foundational framework for all interstellar governmental interactions, ratified by over 40,000 civilizations. Surely the Galactic Empire is a signatory? Bextharian looked at his aide. Zek Morrell shrugged. We might have signed something. We sign a lot of things, usually after we've conquered them. Ah, well, that presents an interesting legal question. If you signed the accords through conquest rather than voluntary participation, that raises questions about the validity of your signature authority. Were the conquered parties the legitimate governing bodies at the time of signing? Did they have the legal capacity to consent? Were proper witnesses present? We don't need witnesses. We have laser cannons. I see. And are these laser cannons registered with the Galactic Weapons Authority? Because under Section 15 of the Cosmic Accords, all energy-based weaponry used in interstellar conflicts must be properly certified for power output, beam coherence, and environmental impact. Captain Zek Morrell leaned over to his admiral. Sir, I'm beginning to understand why it took us so long to conquer the Rigelians. They kept asking about our permits too. Dr. Quirk was consulting a tablet that seemed to have materialized from nowhere. Actually, this raises another interesting point. Your demand for 70% of our GDP as tribute, that's an interesting figure. How did you arrive at that specific percentage? Was there an economic impact study, cost-benefit analysis, consideration of sustainable extraction rates? We usually just take everything. Everything. My goodness, that seems economically inefficient. If you take everything, you destroy the productive capacity of the conquered territory. Surely you've run projections on long-term yield optimization. Bextharian felt like he was drowning in words. We don't need projections. We have 1,700 conquered worlds. 1,700? Fascinating. And what's your administrative overhead for managing 1,700 separate territories? The personnel costs, transportation, communication infrastructure, cultural liaison departments. Cultural what? Oh, you don't have cultural liaison departments. Meh. How do you handle integration of conquered populations? Language barriers, religious practices, dietary restrictions, local customs. We don't handle them. They adapt or they die. Dr. Quirk looked horrified. That's terrible project management. Do you have any idea what your attrition rates are? The productivity losses from cultural shock, the long-term stability issues. She started scribbling notes furiously. I'm calculating rough numbers here, and your operational efficiency has got to be somewhere in the single digits. No wonder galactic conquest takes you so long. Admiral Bextharian, Supreme Commander of the Eastern Quadrant, felt something crack inside his brain. Single digits? At best. Look, I've got some readings I can recommend. Efficient Empire Building for Dummies, The Art of Sustainable Conquest, Managing Multi-Species Populations, a practical guide. Really, you guys could learn a lot. The most feared military leader in the galaxy found himself taking notes. Chuck Chuckles Rodriguez had been covering alien invasions for exactly 17 minutes, and he was already having the time of his life. Good evening. I'm Chuck Rodriguez with Channel 7 News, and folks, we are witnessing something absolutely unprecedented here above Earth's atmosphere. The camera panned to show the Imperial fleet arranged in what was clearly meant to be an intimidating battle formation. The Galactic Empire has just completed what military experts are calling their dramatic approach maneuver, and I've got to say, it's quite a sight. Admiral Bextharian, monitoring Earth's communications from his flagship, felt a small spark of pride. Finally, some proper fear and respect. Now, I'm no expert on alien spacecraft, Chuck continued, but that formation they're flying looks an awful lot like the Blue Angels routine from last year's airshow. Very impressive coordination, though I'm not sure why they chose to do it in bright pink lighting. A bold choice. Pink lighting. Bextharian whirled to face his tactical officer. Our battle illumination is not pink. Sir, it's crimson, the color of blood and terror. Well, apparently it looks pink on their visual spectrum, Captain Zek Morrell observed, checking his instruments. Their media is quite active about this. On screen, Chuck was interviewing random people on the street. So what do you think about the alien invasion, Ma'an? Oh, it's exciting. Are they going to do more of those light shows? My kids would love that. Chuck turned to another passerby. And you, sir? Yeah, very cool. Though I gotta say, their ships look kind of like flying refrigerators. Is that intentional? Are they going for a retro aesthetic? Vextharian's eye was twitching again. Flying refrigerators? The news coverage continued. Earth's social media had exploded with commentary about the Imperial fleet. Someone had started a hashtag, Alien Invasion Fashion Week. Others were critiquing the ship designs with the casual brutality of internet reviews. 2 stars. Intimidating but impractical. Where are the cup holders? Nice try. But the fins are totally unnecessary. Fall over function much? These aliens clearly never heard of aerodynamics. Do they even have engineers? But the real insult came when Earth's entertainment industry got involved. Within hours, the Imperial fleet's dramatic arrival had been remixed into dance videos, turned into memes, and set to music. Someone had edited Vextharian's surrender demands into what humans called an auto-tune remix. Surrender your planet now. The video sang, while cartoon graphics bounced around the Admiral's image. Tribute payments. Wow, wow, wow. Sir, Captain Zek Morrell said quietly, this remix has been viewed 47 million times. Is that good or bad? I honestly don't know anymore, sir. The situation deteriorated further when Earth's comedians got involved. Late-night talk show hosts were doing entire segments about the invasion. So these aliens show up demanding surrender, one comedian said to his studio audience, and they want 70% of our GDP. I told my accountant, and he said, finally, someone who charges more than I do. The audience laughed. They were actually laughing at the Galactic Empire. And get this, they want to relocate all humans to mining colonies. I don't know about you, but I've seen our mining operations. They're going to take one look at a West Virginia coal mine and immediately demand workers' compensation. More laughter. And Vextharian turned off the monitor. In 1700 conquests, he had inspired terror, desperation, and occasionally religious awakening. Never once had he inspired comedy. Sir, his communications officer reported, Earth's government is requesting that we coordinate our future performances with their Federal Aviation Administration to avoid disrupting commercial air traffic. Performances? They've classified our intimidation displays as entertainment events, sir. Apparently we need permits. Admiral Vextharian buried his face in his hands. Somewhere in the depths of space, 1700 conquered worlds were probably laughing at him too. Engineer Mickey Wrench O'Brien had been tinkering with machines since he was old enough to hold a screwdriver. When the Galactic Empire decided to demonstrate their technological superiority, Mickey saw it as the greatest show and tell session in human history. Holy cow, would you look at that, Mickey said, watching the Imperial fleet deploy what Admiral Vextharian had dramatically announced as the Planet Cracker NKVE. That is one serious piece of hardware. Vextharian preened. Finally, proper awe from these insufferable humans to behold the power of the Empire. This device can split your world like an egg. Mickey whistled appreciatively. Yeah, I bet it can. Question though, what's your power source on that baby? Power source? Yeah, for the energy beam. I'm seeing some serious output here. Got to be drawing massive power. Are you running fusion? Antimatter? Some kind of zero-point energy extraction? Vextharian looked confused. It destroys planets. Right, but how? I mean, you're looking at what? Planetary binding energy around 10 to the 32nd joules. Even with perfect efficiency, that's got to be drawing serious juice from somewhere. Captain Zek Morrell whispered to his admiral, sir, our engineers just say it works. But how does it work? Mickey pressed, and more importantly, what's your efficiency rating? Because if you're drawing that much power just to crack one planet, your energy to destruction ratio has got to be terrible. We don't measure efficiency. We measure fear. Mickey shook his head. Man, that's like buying a car without checking the gas mileage. Here, let me guess you're probably running about 0.001% efficiency, right? Massive energy input for relatively small destructive output. Vextharian's translator was making concerning noises. Small destructive output. It destroys entire worlds. Yeah, but think about it. One planet, one shot, massive energy expenditure. Wouldn't it be more efficient to use that same energy to power, say, 1,000 smaller precision weapons? Better tactical flexibility, lower operational costs, reduced logistical overhead. The Admiral felt his sanity slipping. We don't want tactical flexibility, we want to crack planets. But why? Mickey seemed genuinely puzzled. I mean, if you want the resources, planet cracking just scatters everything into space. If you want to eliminate the population, a good plague is way more cost-effective. If you want to make a statement, well, honestly, the whole thing just seems kind of wasteful. Wasteful. Mickey was warming to his subject, and don't even get me started on that user interface who designed your targeting system. Everything's in what looks like ancient hieroglyphics. There's no intuitive menu structure. And where are your safety protocols? What happens if someone accidentally hits the wrong button? We don't make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, buddy. That's why we invented the undo button. Please tell me you've got some kind of abort sequence on that thing. Abort sequence? Oh boy. Okay, what about maintenance schedules? When was the last time you calibrated those focusing crystals? Because I'm seeing some serious beam coherence issues from here. Admiral Vextharian turned to his chief engineer. Are there beam coherence issues? The engineer, a slug-like creature from Proxima 7, made a sound like a deflating balloon. Well, sir, we have been meaning to run diagnostics. And another thing, Mickey continued, your whole fleet formation is completely impractical for actual combat. You're bunched up like you're at a parade, no tactical spacing, no consideration for crossfire patterns. One decent missile spread would take out half your ships. Our ships are invincible. Says who? Your marketing department? Look, I can see your heat signatures from here and you've got some serious cooling problems. Are those reactors always running that hot? Because that's just asking for a catastrophic failure. Captain Zek Morrell was frantically taking notes. Sir, should we be writing this down? And honestly, Mickey concluded, the whole aesthetic is kind of dated. All this dark metal and spiky bits, when was this fleet designed? 1,000 years ago. Have you guys never heard of ergonomics? Streamlined surfaces? Basic design principles? Vextharian stared at the human who had just critiqued the most feared weapons in the galaxy like they were household appliances with poor Amazon reviews. Would you like to see our technical specifications? The Admiral asked weakly. Oh, absolutely. I love seeing how other people solve engineering problems. Got any schematics handy? The final confrontation took place exactly where Admiral Vextharian should have expected, in a beige conference room with fluorescent lighting and a broken air conditioner. Jake Martinez had brought PowerPoint. Gentlemen, thank you for attending Earth's final surrender presentation, Jake began, clicking to his first slide. As you can see from our agenda, we'll be covering Earth's colonial history, current administrative challenges, and projected integration timelines. Vextharian felt a profound sense of doom. How many slides are there? Just 247. Don't worry, I'll keep it brief. Slide 1. Earth, a case study in bureaucratic innovation. Now, as you can see from this pie chart, Jake continued, Earth's governments operate on what we call the distributed inefficiency model. Rather than one central authority, we've got 195 separate countries, each with their own laws, currencies, languages, and filing systems. Captain Zek Morrell raised a tentacle. How do you coordinate anything? We don't. That's the beauty of the system. Complete coordination is impossible, so we've learned to thrive in chaos. Take our United Nations, for example. Jake clicked to the next slide. 193 member states, 6 official languages, and 15 different parliamentary procedures. Last year, we spent 8 months debating whether to debate a resolution about forming a committee to discuss the possibility of scheduling a meeting. That's horrifically inefficient, Vex Therian observed. Exactly. And that's just one organization. Wait until you see our tax codes. The next 30 slides were devoted to humanity's relationship with paperwork, forms that required other forms to obtain, departments that existed solely to transfer requests to other departments, customer service systems designed by sadists and maintained by people who had given up on life. So you see, Jake explained, conquering Earth isn't just about defeating our military. You'd be inheriting our entire administrative infrastructure. Every permit we require, every regulation we've passed, every bureaucratic process we've perfected over thousands of years. Surely it can't be that complex, Vex Therian said, though his voice lacked conviction. Jake smiled. Let me show you what it takes to open a small business in Earth's regulatory environment. The next slide contained a flowchart that looked like it had been designed by a drunken spider having a nervous breakdown. Arrows went in every direction, connecting boxes labeled with things like Municipal Permit Office, Fire Safety Compliance Review, Environmental Impact Assessment, and Small Business Licensing Bureau. This is just for a coffee shop, Jake explained cheerfully. A coffee shop requires all this? Oh, that's the simplified version. This doesn't include federal requirements, union regulations, or international trade compliance if you want to serve imported beans. By slide 100, Admiral Vex Therian was staring at the ceiling and questioning his life choices. By slide 150, Captain Zek Morrell had started making small whimpering sounds. By slide 200, the entire Imperial delegation was huddled together like survivors of a natural disaster. And that brings us to our final section, Jake announced, Earth's integration timeline for new galactic overlords. The last slide was titled, Congratulations on your conquest. Here's what happens next. Beneath it was a timeline stretching across several thousand years, broken down into phases like initial bureaucratic integration, regulatory compliance training, cultural sensitivity workshops, and advanced customer service certification. As you can see, Jake concluded, full administrative integration of Earth into your empire should be complete sometime around the year 7000 CE, assuming no major delays in the permit approval process. Admiral Vex Therian stood slowly. His cape was wrinkled, his ceremonial armor had lost its shine, and his middle eye had developed a permanent twitch. Captain Zek Morrell, he said quietly. Yes, sir. Recall the fleet. Sir? All ships. Full retreat. Maximum speed. But, sir, we haven't conquered the planet. Vex Therian looked at Jake Martinez, who was still smiling that horrible, cheerful smile. He looked at the PowerPoint presentation that would haunt his dreams for the rest of his life. He thought about 1700 conquered worlds, and how none of them had ever made him feel this defeated. Captain, he said with absolute certainty, some victories cost more than defeat. Set course for the outer rim, and send a message to Imperial Command. Earth is to be classified as a quarantine zone. No Imperial contact authorized without explicit approval from the High Council. What reason should I give, sir? Admiral Vex Therian considered this as the inevitable Dominion's engines powered up for the first retreat in the ship's history. Administrative incompatibility, he said finally. The humans are armed with bureaucracy, and we are not equipped to handle that level of warfare. As the Imperial fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Jake Martinez turned off his projector and gathered his notes. Well, he said to himself, that went better than expected. Earth's first contact with galactic civilization was officially classified as a resounding success. The Galactic Empire, meanwhile, added a new regulation to their conquest protocols. All potential targets must be screened for excessive bureaucratic development before military engagement. They never bothered humanity again. After all, there were 1,799 other worlds out there, and none of them had PowerPoint.